4:10 a.m. Foghorns moan back and forth. Humpbacks twist through thick brown kelp. Blue whale calves lost from the pod. Narwhals with shattered horns thrash the bloody foam in tide pools. Sperm whales mating and desperate to mate, flush with a dark whale love, a glow, a secret whale fever that drags long beneath them, alone at low tide, cold in the wrong sea. Scenery. This is another translation from Dayan Lu. After many years of disappointment, I finally removed the window. But after a second thought, actually, what I took along was just its frame. Well-bottomed dark, the world is still where it is after I turn away to walk in its distant places, treasuring this window frame. Those familiar migratory birds fly the edge of the sky. Imagine that I was all the same then, walking repeatedly past this or that remote place, carrying my particular scenery on my back. Catechism. The old nun hovers, hooded, blue-eyed. What happens to those souls who take their own lives? Your gaze inspects your desktop. Stand when called upon. Your so-white hands shake like ginkgo leaves. Breathless tears move you slowly to the door. I sit, quiet as packed dirt. If you leave this room, keep on going. Years behind those flooded eyes, your father dangles like a burnt moth from a noose in our old treehouse. Both of us keep on going. Grass sprouting, another translation from Jonar. Can't crawl out. These grass roots peed on by dogs or human. Tree, pigeons work their wings to take off. Bottom of the pot, beside the crib, watch that grass greening outside the window. The child naps, curled in content. The house is clean. Can't crawl upward to the flow of light and wind. Get close, closer. See clearly the grass blade, fluffy with life, echo that still river from afar, kind of. Let it be. Lie down just like this, to leave. So why is it not good? Pretty, you are already beauty. High perch, next to water, flowers, and trees, and white stone fences. Remember reality, house chores, office, child learning to talk, husband restless. Farewell dinner, farewell drink, one last hour measures all, decorates this backyard. Remember everything, care about everything, and hear that train rushing off. Catch the 1 hour banquet of the morning glory. Leave, leaving, delighted heart, light eternal.
Bill, I'm thinking just how beautifully these translations fit into this narrative, and it's just amazing.
I kind of like them because the ones that we've got here do fit with the whole narration of the thing, whatever it is. But because they were translations, they're in a really different style, and I think that's kind of refreshing.
Well, yeah, it opens the narrative. My part in this is listening to you.
Yeah, you read more carefully than anybody I know.
I read this way.
So I appreciate everything that
yeah.
you have to say about this.
Well, I do. I mean, it's through here, not through.
Ready for the next one?
I am. I want you to go home dizzy today.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I've never done this before. It's pretty exciting. I generally don't show excitement, but it's in here.
Yeah.
I've been told.
Yeah.
The difference between Bill depressed and Bill thrilled is not visible from the outside. Okay, Trillium.
I love this piece.
Saturday morning, my cousin Philip and I hunt trilliums for our moms in the woods behind their house. We bring home a whole lunchbox full. Now they won't bloom again, Mom says. Leave them be. We'll put these in water. They'll be fine for today. Now go back outside and play. Remember, no running with Philip. We take our bows outside to shoot at the target my uncle set up on some hay bales. We can at least hit the bales every time. We get bored, and Philip has the idea to put the target on the ground. This is like artillery, he says. You shoot as straight up as you can and see how close you can drop onto the target. I look at the target at our feet, at the sky, then at the house, barn, horses, all in easy range. If we shoot straight up, I say, maybe it'll come straight down and hit us. It's only one arrow, he says. It can't hit both of us. I put the target at the bottom of the hill just to be sure, and we stand on top to get more height. We both shoot a few arrows, arcing closer to the target each time. This way, the wild shots stick straight up out of the ground, a lot easier to find than our usual, buried under the brush. After my turn, I'm pulling my last arrow and Philip yells, "Look out! Look out!" I jump up and his arrow punches down into the bone of my left shoulder. The arrow sticks straight down, the shaft flicking my ear, and I drop to my knees in the dirt. The arrow rings when it hits bone, and that tone runs right up my collarbone and into my skull. My stomach's turning over. I try to get up, but the arrow weighs me down. Philip appears like magic, gasping. I'm sorry, he says. I just wanted to get close enough to scare you. I feel funny, like nothing's connected and can't talk. You're bleeding, he says. He tries pulling the arrow, but it doesn't come out. My shoulder itches really bad when he wiggles the arrow. Philip skins off his t-shirt and holds it where the arrow goes in. That stops the bleeding while he catches his breath. His skinny chest and belly blotched blue and white as he struggles to breathe. A thick blue scar down the middle marks where they saved him when he was born. He still has a hole in his heart that makes him blue, so he isn't supposed to run with us. His blue lips say something I can't hear. My hands feel tingly, and black spots swarm over everything. Philip yanks hard this time. The arrow sucks out and my breath comes back with a snort. Blood wells down my shirt every time my heart pounds. He wads his shirt up under my shirt to stop it. My blood smears his hands and chest. We're going to get in trouble, I say. He grunts something and helps me up. We'll just go straight to my bedroom, he says. We can clean up there. This is my mom's first visit to my dad's family since the divorce. My dad isn't here. Mom, my aunt, and my uncle are playing hearts in the kitchen with the radio blasting, so we sneak through there really fast to get to Philip's bedroom. Everything goes silent. Then the door bangs open and the room fills with adults and shouting, and then I wake up at home on Sunday afternoon with a perfectly round hole where my collarbone meets my shoulder bone. Now it throbs, and when Mom changes the bandage, I see the crusty yellow powder the doctor stuffed inside. It has to heal from the inside out, Mom says. That powder keeps it from closing up too soon and getting infected. What did the Indians use? They had their own powders. She puts on a fresh pile of gauze pads and tapes it into place. Medicine men and women knew the right plants and how to use them. People here use devil's club root for diabetes. Grandma takes shots. They're both prickly. My shoulder won't let my arm work right to get into a new t-shirt. Here, Mom says, use this old shirt in case the bandage leaks. My cousin's hand-me-down shirt from last year presses the bandage tight, and the sleeves come nowhere near my wrists. He's a year older, but a lot smaller. I can cut those off for you if you want, she says. I'll just roll them up. 5 hard knocks at the door. Dad. Mom sighs and makes a face. Don't worry, she says. It wasn't your fault. I'll take care of it. Dad looks different than I've ever seen him. He's scared. Philip's in the hospital, he says. His heart gave out after everybody left. He wants to see the boy. I borrowed a car. I haven't been alone with my dad since the day we left, and I really don't want to be alone with him. He didn't have to run, I say. It didn't really bleed until later. Nobody's blaming you, he snaps. He clears his throat. Philip might not make it this time, and he wants to see you. Do you want to go? Might not make it. My legs and stomach feel like when the arrow hit. He can barely walk, Mom says. I don't think he should go. I think he should, and I think we should get going now. That serious? Yes. I get my breath back. I want to see him, I say. I have to show him my shoulder. Dad and I practice not looking at each other while Mom gets my coat. I'll get him back tonight, he says. It might be late. Philip's in Seattle. Seattle is a long drive, and Grandpa's car barely makes it up the hills, and the hospital is part of a school that's bigger than our town. My dad never says a word until we get to the hospital, and neither do I. We pass a room with kids in iron lungs. Last year we got shots so it wouldn't happen to us. We all know kids who left school with polio, and we heard about iron lungs that help them breathe, but I didn't imagine those coffins. The kids have mirrors tilted up in front of them so they can see who they're talking to on the out-breath. Kids in braces and on crutches practice walking in the halls. Philip's room is on the top floor. The hallway sounds pump and beat, the squeak-squeak of nurses' shoes, the thugga-thugga-thugga of wheels on carts. Otherwise, everything's quiet. Your aunt and uncle went for a bite to eat, the nurse says. Your cousin wanted to see you alone. Is that okay? She asks me, but she looks at my dad. We both say yes. She squats down to my level. Your cousin's very, very sick, she says. Because of that and because of some medicines we've been giving him, he might not look the same, but it's him. Will you be okay? What does he look like? Well, basically, he's just swelled up, kind of puffy. Oh. And he has a lot of trouble breathing. That's what the tube going to his nose is for, to give him oxygen. So if you ask him a question, you'll have to give him time to answer. Okay. I have no idea what I might ask him. She pulls the curtain aside and says, Philip, your cousin's here to see you, and she leaves. He's very puffed up. I wouldn't recognize him except he laughs and wheezes. Cochise! Geronimo, I say, what's the plan? Save yourself, he says. I'm only going out feet first. Not funny. True. He catches his breath for a second, and I take the chair beside his bed. A pitcher of water and a glass with a straw sit on the bedside stand. Want some water? I ask. He wheezes another laugh and puts a weak hand to his face. This is all water. Hey, that's my shirt. Looks a lot better on me. Makes you look better, you mean. He closes his eyes for a moment and concentrates on breathing. Shoulder? Just a little hole with some powder in it. Want to see? Yeah. I unbutton the shirt and peel back the bandage. He can barely turn his head, so I have to lean real close. His breathing gurgles and pops against my neck. Cool. Sorry. He closes his eyes and sinks back into his pillow. It's okay, I say. I'm the only kid in town who's been shot with a real arrow. Philip tilts his head back to breathe easier. I scared a nurse. How'd you do that? Student nurse, he says. I quit breathing, stared straight. What did she do? He wheezes another laugh. Ran, yelled, code blue. But you're always blue. Yeah, perfect, huh? He laughs and seems to sleep for a few seconds, snoring in quick breaths. His eyes are closed and I'm ready to call the nurse when he speaks. Your school, he asks. They teach you about God?
Every
Didn't expect that.